Hello and welcome to this session. Big thank you to the organisers of Kyoto Smart Cities Expo 2021. And thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Andrew Coburn and I am Head of Global Business Growth at the Connected Places Catapult. And today I'm going to be talking about international collaboration to unlock the power of smart cities. So I'm going to cover 5 areas: why cities are important, innovation, what is a catapult, what catapults do, innovation twins, cities and innovation. So cities are where people live, work and learn. They're where money is spent and where innovation can have the greatest impact. They drive the economy of every country. Yet cities rarely engage fully with their own innovation ecosystems and are often seen as places to be sold technology and innovation solutions. But cities can be active in shaping the development of innovation and technology, and they can do this both locally and globally. Cities can be smart about making the innovations of tomorrow happen today, and this presentation is going to look at how to do this. So why focus on cities? So according to a World Bank report, 70% of cities outstrip their national GDP. More than 80% of global GDP is generated in cities, and by 2050, an estimated 70% of the human population will live in cities. So cities are centers of innovation, creativity, and connectivity. And so thanks to that concentration of people, technologies, and ideas, cities really are leading the way on challenges that affect the urban environment and beyond. Cities are embracing technology and innovation to solve issues like climate change and global poverty. And more than 80% of the world's hubs and districts of innovation are in cities and metropolitan areas. Smart cities focus on delivering better city services, and they also focus on the application of innovation and technology to solve city challenges. So before going further there, I think we should really define what we mean by innovation, because innovation, it's not just about technology. It's about the practical implementation of ideas that result in the introduction of new goods or services, or improvement in offering goods and services. So new ways of doing things, better ways of doing things. And often this does involve the application of technologies, and innovation often takes place through the development of more effective products, processes, services, technologies, artworks, business models, and innovators make available to markets, governments, and society. So we have structures, processes, and technology when we talk about innovation, and that's very important for this presentation. So innovation drives all economies, but we need to ask some key questions. Who does innovation and who is innovation done to? How can innovation come to market? There's no point having a clever idea or a great product if nobody's going to buy it, if nobody's going to use it. And how do we make sure that innovation that is needed comes to market and solves the problems of today and tomorrow? So how can we be innovative in working internationally to make innovation happen and spread the benefits? That's also really important here. So before I answer a lot of those questions, I'm going to tell you a little bit about catapults. So what is a catapult? Every country has an economic development plan in terms of how they want their economy to develop, how they want the right jobs to come to market, how they want the right companies to be created, how they want the right industries to be supported and develop in the future. Every government has these plans and these policies. Many years ago, the UK government realized they would have to create bodies that would make delivery bodies that would make these things happen on the ground. It's not just good enough the government saying they want these things to happen. They need delivery bodies to support the development of these areas. So they created catapults, and these catapults were created in specific industry themes. So digital catapult, cell and gene therapy catapult, Medicines Discovery Catapult, Offshore Renewables Catapult, and our catapult, the Connected Places Catapult, which covers the area of smart cities, urban innovation, and mobility. Catapults are non-for-profit organizations, so they are not government. They're separate from the government, but they're there to support that economic development. They're research technology organizations, so a mix of business and academia, real centers of excellence. And they are located among the three main pillars of any country: government, industry, and academia. And they really focus on making things happen, helping these groups collaborate, cooperate, and succeed, and de-risk working in innovation. And this is very important because innovation is about doing things differently. And if you do things differently, there is risk. So our job is to lower that risk and support people innovating, because when you innovate, you can find better ways of doing things. So the Catapult has a whole range of in-house expertise to support its mission. We've got everything from urban IoT specialists, standards specialists, economists, drones and aviation specialists, business and economic modelers, human factor anthropologists, a really great range, because we're covering the range of the economy, and we're covering everything from the standards and policy and regulations all the way down to technology build. And we really focus on making sense of emerging technologies and helping bring them to market and supporting ways of doing this. So an example being 5G. So 5G is great. We know the technology is there. We know the technology works. What is the business model? What does it mean for various industry sectors? What does it mean for cities and local authorities? How do you support small and innovative, interesting businesses either develop their solutions on 5G networks or transition to 5G-based solutions? What about private networks in areas like ports and airports? So we ask all of these questions and we look at all of these areas to really help people engage with these emerging technology ideas, to make sure that emerging technology isn't just done to people, that they're part of it and they understand it. So this Connected Places Catapult is very good at understanding systems. So I've used the example of smart cities. This could be country, this could be region, but all these constituent parts, in this case of a city, are required. So the society, mobility, economy, government, environment, all of these areas, they interact with each other, they affect each other. And a smart city is a city where you can measure these areas. And if you can measure something, you can make it better. But when you change something or when you deploy something somewhere, it's going to affect another part of the city. So we're experts at understanding how these pieces interact and how you can improve various areas, deploy innovative solutions, find new innovative ways of doing things, and therefore improve the performance of the city, therefore making it smarter. Now, I'll use the example of mobility here. So the UK government, when we're looking at mobility, future mobility, you start with the principles of innovation in urban mobility as the example I'm going to use here. And you start with what you want when it comes to urban mobility of the future. You want the safe and secure by design. You want the open to stimulate innovation and give the best deal to consumers. You want to improve the choice and operation of transport systems. These are some of the main principles that drive how the UK wants to make innovation happen in mobility. Now, all of these principles, they become part of the UK's vision for UK transport in 2050, which is safe, which is net zero, which is connected, which is cost effective, which includes autonomy and business models. So when we're looking at the economy and the development of the economy and the development of specific sectors of the economy, the UK government makes its plans. In this case, this is mobility. And it's the role of people like the Catapult to look at the challenges and ask those difficult questions, because when you do that, then you can look at how you approach these challenges, solve these challenges, and answer these difficult questions. So 4 main areas when I look at mobility here: regulatory, market, operational, and technology. And we ask the questions about, well, what's stopping the innovation of tomorrow happening today? Is it inflexible regulatory frameworks? Is it infrastructure lock-in? Are we aligning transport planning with future needs? And so the catapult is there to do that forward look and look at the challenges and then look at tackling. So the catapult would work in mobility, for this example, in terms of, okay, well, we've got the in-house expertise around about decarbonisation, rail innovation, freight and last mile logistics, rapid software development, future fuel infrastructure standards, areas like that. We need to work across both the market and the supply side. So we need to make sure that the market, if it's there, that it understands these innovations and is ready for these innovations. We may need to work with the market to shape it so it is ready for these innovations and it understands these innovations. Or we might need to create the market from nothing. So take, for instance, the market for electric vehicles. There didn't used to be one, but to create that market, people need to understand the benefits. You need to put the charging infrastructure in place. You need to make sure that charging infrastructure is interoperable. You need to put the right standards and policies and regulations in place. And then when these things are done, or as these things are done, businesses can then start developing their electric vehicle solutions and start building up the supply chain to match the market demands. So we build confidence in those new mobility technologies, and we really do that systems analysis. We then create and support those new opportunities for technology innovators, and we look to then take ideas, and then when we find that they are tested, trialed, validated, and successful, we look to scale them across the country to make innovation happen. So very much going from the understanding what is and what's possible, really helping government set that course and understand what it could and should be doing, helping build the confidence and design in the marketplace, reducing any barriers to entry, and then making it happen. So the catapult's role is to really help accelerate that journey of bringing innovation to market and helping people understand what's actually possible. So a quick example I'll give you here is connected autonomous vehicles. It's a very challenging area, very technologically difficult, and very tied in with regulation, standards. So we put together a project called the Human Drive Project. And this is a great project with Nissan and Hitachi, great Japanese companies you'll recognize, with the UK government, Highways England, with some leading universities there. And what we did, we took a car and we drove it 200 miles across the UK through live traffic and natural conditions. And so this was a 30-month project where we were ultimately taking a driverless car and driving it through a range of conditions. We helped the UK government understand what it means to have a connected autonomous vehicle on the road, interacting with other people, with human beings driving their cars, and what needed to be done to get the standards, policy, regulations, the roads, everything in place for the UK government to really support getting connected autonomous vehicles on the road en masse. We helped support Nissan and Hitachi further develop their connected autonomous vehicle solutions, and we helped the UK universities engage with their research and development to make the UK as cutting edge and as at the forefront of connected autonomous vehicle research and development as it can be. So that's an example of, when I look at mobility, the role of the Connected Places Catapult coming from what is actually possible, how it can inform the government's thinking, and how it can make things happen on the ground. So there's many ways the catapult can work. And so we run a lot of accelerator programs where we look to make things happen really quickly. And they tend to be thematic round about key areas of UK government interest. So Stimulate is clean air, how we get clean air and clean tech mobility into the supply chain of companies. That's a great project there. Details can be found on our website. And if anybody wishes to get in touch with me, I can send more details as well. We run an advanced construction accelerator. We work on high speed 2, which is HS2, and I'll speak more about that in a second. We run a lot of work around about the future of air mobility, and that's not just airports and airplanes and future fuels, that's also unmanned aerial vehicles and drones. We also have a really interesting smart cities demonstrator up in Manchester. We've got a 5G demonstrator down in Milton Keynes, an intelligent mobility accelerator with Hyundai, Wayra, Amy, and Telefonica, which is a really strong one as well. And so what I mean when I talk about these accelerators This is where we take cutting edge or near to market solutions and we bring them to market. So working with Amy in this case is a managed service company. They manage lots of rail stations, train routes, waste collection facilities, schools. So they have a big carbon footprint. They're a large company. They want to reduce their carbon footprint. They want to engage with cutting edge clean tech and mobility solutions. So they have a few options. They could develop these solutions in-house, which is very expensive and risky, or they could say to the market, we want to buy these solutions. And what they'll get is an awful lot of people trying to sell them things they don't understand. What they chose to do was actually work with the Catapult. So we set up an acceleration program for them where we work with Amy. We understand what they want. We can help them understand what's possible, because those are often two different things. And then we run a program, a 3-month sprint acceleration program, where we take either early stage or close to market companies in the area that they are looking for. And we help these companies deploy their solutions, build out their use cases. We help them further build their technology, and we help really refine that. And at the same time, we take Amy on a journey of understanding what these solutions are, the benefits of them, the business cases, etc. So at the end of 3 months, we have both the supply, the highly innovative clean tech companies here, and the demand, Amy. They're both together. They both understand each other. They're both comfortable with each other. And so in this case, we took 125 really interesting companies. We narrowed that down to 10 companies. We ran them through the program and they got 14 contracts at the end of it. So the example I'm giving here is how the Connected Places Catapult helps bring innovation to commercial reality. These were small, interesting, near to market companies in a very dangerous area for small businesses where many businesses fail. And we help bridge that business. We help bridge that gap and bring this business to commercially viable solution status, which is really great. And so the HS2 Accelerator program is another great one I wanted to talk about slightly. And this is where we engage with large infrastructure projects. So large infrastructure projects take a long time to happen, and they tend to be very risk adverse when it comes to emerging technology, innovative technology, and they often prefer to buy mature solutions on the market already. The problem with that is this is usually done with large organizations, and by the time all the solutions are deployed, they're usually quite dated. So we set up a really interesting accelerator program and a lab for an innovation lab for infrastructure, where we help infrastructure owners, the project managers, all those people. We help understand what they need, and then we help bring them the latest, greatest, most innovative technologies. We test, trial, validate, and support these innovative companies to build out their solutions. And we give the infrastructure owners the confidence that they want to bring these solution providers into their supply chain. So we ensure that a large infrastructure project gets the best and the most cutting edge technology into their supply chain. And this is another great example of how we bring that route to market to innovators and innovative companies. And again, just a few facts and stats from the last cohort. And then we do a lot with data as well. This is a really interesting accelerator because we work with essentially useless data. So telecommunications companies collect a lot of data. In fact, all organizations collect a lot of data. And so we got a lot of data sets that were effectively useless to a large telecommunications company. And we put programs in place where we allowed innovators, startups, and SMEs to play with this data, to look at how they can use it to better refine their products or create new products. And some of the numbers on the board, we had over 400 applications to this. We helped raise more than £44 million worth of investment for them. We got more than 30 plus commercial trials on this. And we helped them win more than £2.5 million worth of CR&D funds. So a really interesting program that helps support the further development of the innovation ecosystem. And just closing in terms of what a catapult is. So in the last 7 years, We have supported more than 8,332 small to mid-sized companies. We've had more than 14,750 industry collaborations. We've had 5,108 academic collaborations because we work with universities as well, as I mentioned. And we've had 1,218 international projects. And this is really important because we think that we can do things better when we collaborate internationally. And we've done some really, really interesting stuff. So I mentioned we work across what I call the economic stack. Everybody knows what a technology stack is. An economic stack is everything from the high-level standards, policies, and regulations, all the way down to the building of technology. And we do all of that in-house. And so we will work with countries on their strategies. We will work with countries on how to make specific thematics happen, like electric vehicles. We will work with ports and specific places like train stations and airports. We will work with locations to help them produce innovation better because the UK has a great speciality and heritage in this area. And we will work specifically with companies. So in the case in the bottom right, that's an automotive company where we help bring the latest creative innovations into their supply chain. So working and partnering, I always talk about how we are the innovation laboratory for the UK's Department for Transport, where we help the government not only support its policy standards and regulations of today, but we help make sure that the policy standards and regulations of tomorrow are in place so that they don't stop innovation happening. And so we have developed some really interesting tools that support not only the UK, but other countries. So when I'm talking about international collaboration, a lot of our international work is underpinned by our City Topology Index. Now, almost every country in the world has the same problem. Economic prosperity has been sucked into the capital cities and tier 1 cities, the biggest cities, and often the rest of the country is to some extent left behind. In the UK, we have a program called the Levelling Up Agenda, and that is where the UK is supporting economic prosperity into other parts of the country that are historically underinvested in, or where potentially great companies have been founded and have moved to the capital. So it's very important when you look at things like the Levelling Up Agenda, when you look at global opportunities and partnership opportunities, that you can use a real evidence base to underpin your decision making and to understand what you could and should be doing. So cities are really interesting places and very important places, as I mentioned, but how can you compare cities? How can you compare Tokyo with Fukui, with Fukuoka, with Hiroshima, with Fukui, with Sapporo? They're all unique and interesting in different cities. So we developed this topology index, which puts a framework around cities. And this allows us to build up a model of what the city looks like and how it performs, and in a way that we can compare cities objectively. And this is really important because when you can compare the cities and when you can group the cities, you can understand where the performance is good and where performance can be improved. And when you can compare cities, you can look at where cities have done some things that have improved their performance. And therefore you can work with other cities to support them to do the same thing. And this is a really powerful tool that we use. We've now got, I'd say actually closer to 700 cities on the topology index, but any city, as long as the data is available, can be loaded onto it. They're split across 65 indicators and 175,000 data points. So we can dive into a lot of detail with cities, which allows us to really understand how cities work. And that's one of the unique selling points of the Connected Places Catapult. And when we use this, we can then look at places, cities, regions, countries, and we can help them perform better when it comes to things like producing innovation. And this is some work. This is a project that's available on our website where we worked with a place called Sharjah. We combined our methodology of the logic of innovation locations, which is how to help a location produce innovation, and our city topology index. And we helped them design an innovation location. So the Sharjah Technology Research Industry Park we helped Sharjah and the local Sharjah government design that in a way that was they could get the university, the local government and industry to collaborate to produce innovation on the park. And it's been a really fantastic place. I really recommend you go to their website and look at the great stuff they're doing. The example I like to give is the 3D printed building, the picture on the bottom of your screen. They attracted innovators to come to Sharjah Technology Park, and they helped them refine their products. And now if you go and set up in Sharjah, you can have your office building 3D printed by a company that is there, a real example of having a location produce innovation. So I've hopefully told you a little bit about why cities are important, and we need to really focus on cities and think about them. I've talked a little bit about the Catapult network and the Connected Places Catapult and given some examples in terms of how a catapult helps to look at the innovations of tomorrow. It helps to support government thinking and planning, and how it helps bring innovations to reality, how it helps bring innovations to market. And now I'm going to talk about a really exciting project that I'm running just now, and it's called Innovation Twins. Now this is super exciting. It's about how highly developed and innovative nations can work together at a city-to-city level and help cities shape the innovation of tomorrow and give it a route to market, both locally and globally. Because historically, countries have worked country to country when they have cooperated in the area of smart cities or mobility, and often that means capital cities working with capital cities. And really, so Japan is an amazing country with a fantastic group of highly innovative companies. We all know the large corporate companies, but there's also lots and lots of startups and SMEs that are really exciting. But these companies, these startups and SMEs, they don't have the capacity and capability to really explore routes to market, global markets, and find those partnerships. So my background is in international trade and investment. And so I've helped many, many companies, large, medium, and small, form international partnerships. And one of the learnings from my years of experience in this area is that you need innovative structures and processes in place if you're really going to support the startups and SMEs of any country globalize at scale and deliver on the promise of their talent and their ability. Now, and touching upon that, I mentioned the importance of cities. Cities are a key marketplace for these companies. So, but cities are not just there to be sold at, they're not just passive observers. They can help shape the innovations developed by these highly innovative companies. So the Connected Places Catapult designed a program called Innovation Twins to bring cities together and to bring highly innovative startups and SMEs together to really look at bringing innovation to the market and making the innovations of tomorrow happen today. So I'm currently running this project in South Korea, and it's between the UK and South Korea, and it's looking at the development of the national economic development policies of both countries. They both want to create the jobs of tomorrow. They both want to support the industries of tomorrow. They really want to help bring innovation to market, and they want to spread socio-economic prosperity around the whole country. That's great. So we designed this program to support long-term city-to-city relationships in the areas of smart cities, mobility, enabling technologies, and really supporting economic development and diversification with a focus on startups and SMEs and research and innovation collaboration. Now, why city to city? Because when you do city to city, we can go back to that leveling up, that sharing of economic prosperity. Instead of just London cooperating with Tokyo, you can have Sheffield cooperating with Fukui. You can have Stirling cooperating with Fukuoka. You can all of a sudden have the focus of programs in different regions of the city and really drive export and investment and research and collaboration opportunities that normally wouldn't happen. So we're really looking at sparking an innovative way of working. So when you look at something like South Korea or Japan, both countries are highly developed with a strong record of innovation. They've got highly skilled workforces, world-leading universities, and they're really looking at the next stage of development for a highly industrialized economy. And that is spreading that socioeconomic development and bringing innovations to market to solve problems like climate change, net zero, looking at addressing areas like Industry 4.0 or even Industry 5.0 if you want to look at that. And what we look to do is put structures, programs, and processes in place to help cities learn, grow, collaborate, cooperate, understand each other, and give routes to market to their SME, so startup, small to mid-size enterprise industries. So this project, we brought together national government, in this case, Mullet, which is the Department for the Economy, BEIS, which is the Department for the Economy in the UK, Kaya, which is the Innovation Funding Agency in South Korea, and Innovate UK, which is the Innovation Funding Agency in the UK. We brought together cities, we brought together academia, and we brought together business. So what we didn't want to do was a short-term project. We didn't want to do a 12-month project. We wanted to show that you can create long-term, sustainable, city-to-city relationships. So first, as with all projects like this, we needed to build the evidence base. So this was a 3-phase program, and phase 1 was speaking to people in South Korea, speaking to people in the UK, understanding what is and what could be. So we developed a framework to enable the identification of high potential city partnerships in a complementary and equitable manner by applying a robust methodology. So what we did, we looked at cities in the UK, cities in South Korea, we looked at what they wanted to achieve, what they could achieve, and we looked with a methodology how to identify high potential partnerships. Because if the right types of cities partner, then they can complement each other, they can help each other. You have to find the right pairings. So you can't just put any city together, you have to find cities with the right characteristics who will benefit by cooperating together. So in phase 1, we developed the methodology to do this, and we found out what cities would pair very well. The next phase of this project, which is where we are now, is what we call the Convening and Lighthouse project. This is where we take the methodology and the framework and we run what we call a Lighthouse project. The Lighthouse project is like a proof of concept. We move from theory to doing things. So we are working with one of the high potential city pairings we identified in phase 1, and we're doing 2 things. First, we are identifying the big market barrier. The big market barrier is procurement. How does a city buy innovative solutions from startups and SMEs? Almost no city in the world has a good process for engaging with its startup and SME ecosystem and giving them a direct route to market. And if you give them a direct route to market, you will help shape their innovation. They will think about how to develop their solution so it solves the city's problem. So we're developing what we call an innovation in the city playbook, which will allow the city in the UK and the city in South Korea to put in place structures to help them engage with their innovation ecosystems. And that's really exciting. And this playbook will have recommendations. So the playbook will tell cities what they're currently doing and what they could be doing. It will provide recommendations in terms of what they should do to drive the outputs that they want. And the outputs that they want is they want to help small to mid-sized companies in their city sell their services to the city and solve the city's problems. As easy as that. And what we then want to do, we want to run a pilot of one of the recommendations from the playbook in the city. So we will develop the playbook of innovation in the city in one UK city and one playbook in the South Korean city, because obviously South Korean and UK cities are different. We will then run the pilot, one in the South Korean city and one in the UK city, to prove that a city can engage with its innovation ecosystem, it can put its problems and its challenges to its innovation ecosystem, and that its innovation ecosystem can solve these problems, and the city can then buy those services. When a city buys the services of its startups and SMEs, it will create jobs, it will create the industries of tomorrow, and it will create a situation where these companies, they stay in the city. They don't disappear to the capital city or the tier 1 city. So it's a really interesting program and project. And then phase 3, which will come next year and the years afterwards, is when we will then grow this program across other city partnerships, and we will do bigger and more interesting things with the cities and their innovation ecosystems. So phase 1 that I can talk about a little bit now, when we apply the methodology, we're able to look at different cities in both South Korea and the UK, and we can find high potential pairings. And the methodology we used, you can split it into kind of 3 high-level areas: similarity in performance, synergies in projects and ambitions, and correspondence and internationalization and appetite for readiness to collaborate. So the report that captures all of this will be published next month, and I would be very happy to share it with anybody who would like to read it. But the report will talk about the methodology that was developed and how that methodology was applied to the UK and South Korea. And the key point here is this methodology can be applied to any country. So I'm very interested in how we can apply this methodology to Japan to bring out an innovation twin program in Japan, because what we look to do, and this is another way of looking at the 3-phase program, we want to help people understand what's possible. We then want to run a Lighthouse project to show people what actually is possible and the outcomes and outputs that you get. And then we want to make this new innovative way of cities engaging with their innovation ecosystems work on scale. Now, after the Lighthouse project, what we want to do is start the international collaboration. The Lighthouse project will have a city put its problems, its challenges to its innovation ecosystem, and the innovation ecosystem will show that it can solve the problem, and then the city will hopefully buy that solution and therefore solve its problem while putting more money back into the local economy, supporting the development of its startup and SME ecosystem, and creating a very strong cycle, a very positive cycle. The next year, what we want to do is then move to the international collaboration element. When we have the structure and process in place in the UK city and in the South Korea city, and the cities are able to articulate, say, what their challenge is, and put it to their innovation ecosystem, we want to open that to city collaboration. So the city in the UK will say, we want to improve net zero performance of our public infrastructure service, and we have a budget of this. And so this international collaboration will be open to only companies from the UK city and its partner South Korean city. So it will provide a unique route to market, a global market for the South Korean company, because that's SME, that startup in South Korea, it's not got the capacity to go and explore global opportunities. But this program, they don't have to. All they have to do is prove that they can collaborate with the UK company in the UK city to solve the city problem, and they will win a contract. They will win business. They will be able to deliver their pilot project. And so that will produce a unique route to market for the right type of company with the right solution from South Korea to the UK. And the reverse is also the same. So in the South Korean city, they will propose their problem, their challenge, and the UK company from the UK partner city will collaborate with a South Korean company in the South Korean partner city to solve the problem. And so that UK startup or SME will get its unique route to market in the South Korean city. And that is a really innovative structure and process that will allow cities to collaborate, cooperate, and provide routes to market to their startup and SME ecosystem. At the same time, both partner cities will be sharing knowledge, they will be collaborating, they will be looking at areas that they can work together and collaborate on at a city level and at an academic level. And so what this program will produce is a really interesting collaborative effort where the cities are partnering together, they're working together, they're learning together, they're providing a route to market to their startup and SME ecosystem, and collaborative academic opportunities. And this is our Innovation Twin program. So the key question of the phase 2 we're in just now is, how does a city play an active role and engage with its innovation ecosystem in a way that helps bring the right innovative solutions to market? And this goes back to my original point about how cities can be part of shaping innovation in a country. And so we're going to produce this Innovation in a City Playbook, and we're running this trial just now. And it's a really, really exciting program. And the report will be available on our website next month of the first phase. And we'll be producing a lot of information and learnings from this project, this Lighthouse project, as we move towards March next year. And then we're looking at scaling this across multiple UK cities and multiple South Korean cities. So thank you very much for sitting through a slightly long presentation, but I hope a very interesting presentation, where I wanted to tell you why we're so excited about cities and why we think cities are so important, about what a catapult is, what such a unique organization like the Catapult is, and the role it plays in helping bring innovation to market and helping inform government, industry, and academia about what is actually possible in terms of future innovation and making it happen today. So I wanted to say a few words about how innovation is not just about technology, it's also about structures and process, because the right structures and process can drive innovation and make innovation happen. And when you combine the right structures with the deployment innovation, you can really maximize that positive impact. And cities, they can play an important role in shaping that innovation and in giving it a route to market, as seen in kind of the International Innovation Twins program I talked about. And international city-to-city collaboration really can help highly innovative startups, small and mid-sized companies access international opportunities in a way that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. And I truly believe that the UK and Japan are ideal partners for an Innovation Twins program. And at the Connected Places Catapult, we are really hoping to start some partnerships between the UK and Japanese cities soon. So I'd like to thank you very much for listening to this presentation today. My name is Andrew Coburn. I'm the Head of Global Business Growth at the Connected Places Catapult. And my email address is on your screen, and I would be very happy to speak to anybody who would like to follow up on this conversation. And I'm very much looking forward to collaborating in the future. So thank you very much.